Hey Dolphins fans, I'm Dustin Davis and I'll update you on everything happening in Miami. Miami's front office just turned the page on an era. Owner Stephen Ross has wiped the slate clean. New general manager, new head coach, new direction. And the organization now faces decisions that will define the next 5 years. Among those choices, one stands above the rest: what to do at the most important position in football. The Dolphins leadership group hasn't even settled into their offices, yet they're already staring down a quarterback dilemma that carries franchise-altering weight. Among other positions, then the answer is big movements happening in Miami. Let's analyze everything that has happened in the last few hours. First, friends, can I ask for a small favor? If you're liking what we do, click the like button to show your support. It truly means a lot. Thanks again. Miami's offseason began with sweeping organizational change. The owner then replaced Chris Grier, who had spent 26 years with the franchise, by hiring Jon-Eric Sullivan, Green Bay's former vice president of player personnel, as the new general manager. Sullivan now inherits a roster with urgent, high-stakes decisions waiting on his desk. The most consequential of those decisions centers on Tyreek Hill. The five-time All-Pro wide receiver is scheduled to carry a $51 million cap hit in 2026, and he's coming off a season derailed by a dislocated knee. Hill's 2025 cap charge was $27.6 million. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has stated Hill expects to be ready for Week 1 of the 2026 season. But the pairing of a staggering cap number and a significant recent injury created a difficult equation for a front office trying to reset its roster priorities. Analysts and beat reporters have been direct in their assessments. ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques stated there's no way Hill returns on his current deal, if at all, while Miami Herald columnist Barry Jackson called Hill expected to be a cap casualty. Adding complexity to any potential negotiations, Hill has no remaining guaranteed money left on his contract. The salary cap implications are stark. Releasing Hill before June 1st would generate roughly $22 million in immediate cap savings, but leave approximately $28 million in dead money. If Miami uses a post-June 1st designation, which the team can announce before that date to secure the later cap benefit while avoiding certain offseason payouts and guarantees from triggering, the club would realize around $35 million in cap relief while absorbing about $15.8 million in dead money. According to Over the Cap, teams can designate a cut as a post-June 1st move to gain that later year cap benefit while avoiding certain offseason payouts and guarantees from triggering. Jon-Eric Sullivan will ultimately make this call, and his public comments suggest a clear philosophy: you build through the draft. It's a young man's game. That draft-first, youth-driven approach carries implications for any veteran on a large contract. Hill will be 32 years old during the 2026 season, a factor that weighs into any rebuilding posture. Hill's 4-year tenure in Miami delivered historic production. He earned 2 All-Pro selections, finished in the top 10 of MVP voting twice, won a receiving yards title, claimed a receiving touchdowns title, and arguably posted the 2 best seasons any Dolphins wide receiver has ever recorded. After the trade from Kansas City brought Hill to South Beach, Miami reached the postseason in consecutive years for the first time since 2000-2001, though the team failed to secure a playoff victory in either appearance. Kansas City, meanwhile, converted the assets from the Hill trade into back-to-back Super Bowl championships. When the two teams met in the 2023 postseason, a brutally cold contest, the Chiefs won 26-7. Hill accounted for Miami's lone score in that game. Hill's final appearance in a Dolphins uniform came during a 27-21 Monday Night Football win over the Jets. He caught 6 passes for 67 yards before suffering the dislocated knee in the third quarter. That injury, the medical reality behind Miami's cap dilemma, now defines a critical decision point for the franchise's new leadership. While one star's fate remains uncertain, the franchise quarterback situation is equally complicated. The front office upheaval that ended Chris Grier also coincided with the benching of Tua Tagovailoa, signaling that the Dolphins may no longer view him as the unquestioned long-term starter. While practical obstacles, including guarantees and roster logistics, could force Miami to keep him, Tagovailoa's own public statements have made a departure seem increasingly likely. When asked if he would welcome a reset elsewhere, Tagovailoa responded that a fresh start would be dope and that he would be good with Miami choosing a different direction. Those words carry significance because they don't sound like a player fighting to stay and repair what broke. Instead, they suggest someone emotionally prepared to leave if the organization decides to move on. Statistically, Tagovailoa completed just under 68% of his passes this season, but failed to reach 3,000 passing yards and finished with a 20-touchdown, 15-interception ratio. With Tyreek Hill sidelined for much of the year, the quarterback's limitations as a passer became more visible. Moving Tagovailoa this offseason won't be simple. He carries a substantial contract that could discourage potential suitors, and the combination of inconsistent play and an injury history diminishes his market value. That makes engineering a trade challenging, even if the Dolphins prefer to go in a different direction. With veteran alternatives scarce and younger options uncertain, retaining Tagovailoa may feel like accepting unresolved friction under a new general manager. Keeping a starter who appears disconnected from the club's fortunes and whose presence may have indirectly triggered the current roster reset could become an unnecessary complication for Miami's incoming leadership. A fresh name has emerged from the college ranks, potentially offering Sullivan an unexpected solution. By 2026, the Miami Dolphins will be operating under a new head coach and a different general manager. The quarterback room has suddenly become a central strategic challenge for whoever runs the roster. The primary obstacle to a clean break from Tua Tagovailoa is the shortage of quarterback talent expected in the upcoming NFL draft. A previously overlooked prospect is now making his case as a potential franchise quarterback. Following an electric college football playoff performance, Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss has inserted his name into the discussion and should be on Miami's evaluation board. Miami is drifting toward quarterback limbo. After a mid-season benching, Tagovailoa's future in South Florida appears uncertain. Yet, without the resources to draft or trade for a clear-cut replacement, the Dolphins may feel trapped. The alternatives are limited. Allow Quinn Ewers another season to develop, sign a mediocre veteran, or take a chance on a less heralded prospect like Chambliss. Chambliss's showing against the University of Miami in the college football playoff semifinal made that final option more attractive. He completed 23 passes for 277 yards and a touchdown, as the Rebels narrowly missed a national title berth. Throughout the contest, he was efficient and poised, delivering impactful plays without committing costly turnover. That performance has scouts questioning whether he might be the third best QB in this class. There are clear limitations. Chambliss stands roughly 6'1" and weighs around 200 pounds, and he lacks the elite arm strength of several peers. He only recently emerged at the FBS level after transferring from Division II Ferris State. Yet his accuracy and instinct for the game are evident on tape. Though the sample size is limited, his season film suggests he possesses NFL starter qualities. Chambliss wanted to return to school but had his request for a sixth-year NCAA waiver rejected. That setback hasn't extinguished first-round speculation. With few alternatives to acquire a new quarterback, the Dolphins should seriously consider selecting the Ole Miss transfer in the middle of round 1. Beyond the draft, another possibility has surfaced, one tied directly to Green Bay's front office. Green Bay's season ended with a wild-card loss to the Chicago Bears, and the magnitude of that defeat suggests significant change could be on the horizon, potentially including at quarterback following a playoff collapse of that scale. Jordan Alexander Love could be on the move. Despite signing a 4-year, $220 million extension in July 2024, Jordan Love could become available if the Packers pursue a comprehensive roster teardown. Green Bay might elect to move him and recoup draft capital in return, likely a first-round pick in return. If Green Bay does decide to trade Love, the Miami Dolphins stand out as a logical destination. Miami's front office now includes Jon-Eric Sullivan, who comes from Green Bay's personnel structure, and the team is searching for a head coach who can maximize offensive talent. With Tua Tagovailoa's struggles and shrinking margin for error, a trade for Love would offer a clearer path forward. Love hasn't fully transformed Green Bay into a perennial contender, but he has demonstrated he can deliver consistent baseline production. Over his career, he's completed 64.3% of his passes for 12,212 yards, with 88 touchdowns and 36 interceptions. In 2025, he completed 66.3% of attempts for 3,381 yards, with 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Placing Love in an offense that features Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane would likely elevate his performance. For Miami, acquiring Love would provide a stabilizing presence at quarterback and could accelerate the team's return to consistency and competitiveness. Would trading for Jordan Love be the right move for Miami's new regime? Does his $220 million contract make sense for a team trying to reset, or would those resources be better spent elsewhere? Can Love actually elevate this offense with weapons like Hill and Waddle, or would the Dolphins just be swapping one inconsistent quarterback for another? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do to solve the problems in 2026? Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Join the community for exclusive daily content. We're here to keep you updated with everything going on in Miami. See you next time.